Hello students. In the last class, we have seen about the limitations of algorithm power and how to cope up with the limitations of algorithm power, isn't it? So here what we are going to see now is we will be just revising those two techniques, that is backtracking and branch and bound, with like a few more examples for each one. And as I told you, when you say it as uh, backtracking, just recollect it. You need to construct a state space tree. You will be getting the promising nodes. The promising nodes may lead to, it's a partial solution, it may lead further to a complete solution. But whereas when you say it as a non-promising node, it is a dead end, and it will be, when you reach with a encounter a dead end, we will be backtracking, going to its parent node and check whether there are any other choices left out. So while constructing this state space tree, we are going to explore the state space tree using the depth first search, where you will be having the nodes and edges. So as we have seen, nodes are nothing but the partial solutions, and edges are nothing but your choices in extending the partial solutions. So here, when it comes to backtracking, we are going to see with a few examples. So already we have seen the NQN problem. So the NQN problem is nothing but placing the 4 queues in the 4x chessboard. So I'll give you a quick review on this, which says that you are going to place the root node will be an empty chessboard. You are going to place the first queue in the first column. You are placing the queues in such a way that no two queues attack each other. So if you try for placing the second queue in the first column or second column, it will attack. So we are placing it in the third column. Now try for the third queue. Third queue cannot be placed in all the 4 options. So we are backtracking. Now 1, 2, 3 is over. So now the fourth column is left out. So we are moving the second queue into the fourth column. And we are, since this becomes a partial solution, we are going for its children. So first third queue cannot be placed in the first column. So we placed the third queue in the second column. That is based on the second choice. So this is also a partial solution. So we may go further. Now, when you are going further, you cannot place the fourth queue in any of the columns. So we go backtrack it. We try for retry for third queue, third column, it cannot be placed. Diagonally will attack. Fourth column also, it cannot be placed. So we are going back. And we again back, and you are going to place the first queue itself in the second column, and we will try out all these options. So this is nothing but the placement of the 4 queue. So here we have seen only the placement of placement done, that is 4 queues. You are placing it in the 4x4 chessboard in such a way that no two queues attack each other, and we are getting only one solution. So you can now go for thinking of the next solution by generating the tree structure. Again, start with the third child. Third child is nothing but placing the first queue in the third column. Now you try whether you will be getting a solution or not. Okay, so the transpose of always, when you say the transpose of this solution will get you the second solution. So you can think of in that way also. So now I'm giving you an assignment which you need to generate the state space tree for n with 3 queues as well as n with 5 queues. Please try it out. Only if you try it out, you will get to know what will be the solution for it. We have seen the algorithm also. If we are asked for writing the algorithm, we are writing the algorithm where it checks for the column and the diagonal position. Now we have the Hamiltonian circuit problem. Hamiltonian circuit problem is a graph which will be given where you will be starting with the vertex A. You will be traversing through all the vertices, come back to the starting vertex. So all the remaining vertices has to be visited exactly once. So you will be getting a simple cycle. Simple cycle is starting with the vertex, going through all the remaining vertices, come back to the starting. So here we are going to see based on the DFS. So it says that when you are starting with a node which is A, we go for its options. You have three options, B, C, D. So here we have worked out for B and we have got a solution. Now here also you see when you say it as B, B is adjacent to C and F. So we are trying for C as well as F. So first, since it's a depth first search, we will try only for C. Now C is adjacent to D and E. So we are trying for T and D. Now first you try for D. Next for D it is adjacent to E, E is adjacent to F. But there is no way go back to A. So this becomes a dead end. Now we move to its backtrack, move to its parent node, again parent node. Again there was one more option left out. So we are coming to the right subtree. If there is only one option, we will be again going back to B only. So since there is one more option, we were worked out and it becomes a dead end. So we are going to be from B to F, F to E, E to C, C to D, D to E. So starting with A, ending with A by visiting all the vertices exactly once and you got the solution. Not only this, you may get another solution also. Okay. So you can try for it. From E, we have gone to actually C here. So for E, you can also move to D also because there are two choices. We can work out any of these choices. So like that, you can get a complete tree structure for this. Okay. So for a Hamiltonian circuit problem, you will be getting a complete tree structure and you will be seeing how it will be dealt with. So we can always, whenever you go for the Hamiltonian, you just see what's the graph given. So based on the graph, you can see whether you will be getting, you can plan for any other graph which gives you the solution. So whenever you go with the Hamiltonian, you are only seeing that whether you will be getting a solution for just for any graph, will you be able to get a solution? That's what we are checking it. Okay. So now what is the next topic? The next topic is nothing but we say that it is sum of subset problem. Now when you go for the sum of subset problem also, we are saying we will be seeing whether there is any so for the sum of subset problem, what we do is we will be starting with a node where we will be saying that whenever you have a node, we will be taking all the integers first in the sorted order. Then once if you take it in the sorted order to find out whether it is a promising or non-promising. Promising, as I told you, we will be going further. But whereas when you encounter with a non-promising node, we have to have satisfied two inequalities. The two inequalities is the sum should not be too small, nor it should not be too large also. So even if you take the next all left out values, and if you add also, if the sum is too small, we will not be taking it. Similarly, if you have a value, current value, and if you just move ahead with the next value, if the sum is too large also, you will not be getting the solution. So here, when you see, whenever you go for these kind of values, we will be seeing that whether we will be able to get the solution or not. Okay. So based on that, you are given with a problem. So here we have already worked out a problem. Okay. The root node will be 0. Then when you take an element, you will be updating the s dash value. This is what I told as s dash. It will be updating. Then you will be again moving to the next edges. Once if you get the value as 15, you will be stopping the solution. Here the value of m is 15. So once you get the value of 15, you will be stopping the solution, or you will be backtracking and going to some other edges, and you will be just generating it. Okay. So this is how you find out the solution for sum of subset. If you find any values here, you can see the value is 0, left out is 6 and 7. If you add 6 and 7 also, it is less than 15. It is 13 and it is less than 15. So our inequality is satisfied here. Similarly, if you see here, already it is 14, left out number is 7. If you add 7, it is greater than 15. So our inequality is holding good here. So it is a it becomes a non-promising nodes, and we will be backtracking it. So the same way you can also find out for this particular problem. You are given with a set of integers. First you arrange it in the increasing order. Then you have a value as m equal to 12. And now you just check whether you will be able to create the subset or not. See here in this sum of subset problem, either you will be getting a single solution or you will get a multiple solution. The difference between the tree structure which you have seen for the Hamiltonian and the NQN is, in NQN also based on the number of choices, your number of children will be varying, but in Hamiltonian also it is based on the number of edges, it will be varying. But whereas when you say it as the sum of subset, it is going to, in NQN, we are supposed to place all the 4 QNs. So there are 4 choices. In Hamiltonian, whatever the adjacent vertices, based on the number of adjacent vertices, we create the choices. The choices are nothing but the children. But whereas when you go for sum of subset problem, you are either choosing an item or you are not choosing an item. It is a subset. Subset says that whatever is in the set, we will be either considering all or we will just ignore it, eliminate it. So here you will be always coming up with a static tree where it will be saying that in a static tree, you will be having the 2 children. That is the binary tree which consists of 2 children. The left child always indicates that it is including the item, and the right child always indicates that you are excluding the item. So this is how you see for the sum of subset problem. So when you have the sum of subset problem, you are just taking it and finding out whether you will be whenever you go for the sum of subset problem, you are just seeing, you will be creating the subset where it will be having 2 different values, the two different values between, it indicates that um, it will be saying whether you can get all the values or what it is. So here, whenever you go with the so here, uh, if the value is less, we will be saying it as non-promising. If it is greater also, we will be saying it as non-promising node. So whenever you go with a problem, try to evaluate it, generate the entire state space tree. So you may come up with either one single solution or you may come up with different solutions. So whatever it is, you need to try for finding out the various solutions. So the entire tree structure has to be generated here. Okay, in NQN problem, when you placed one placement or one solution, when you got it, you have stopped it. But whereas, or in Hamiltonian circuit also, if you are asked for creating a single circuit, you can do it like that. But whereas when you come for the sum of subset problem, you have to create all the subsets for that particular problem. Okay, so whenever you are having a problem, just to see to that you generate all the entire tree structure and get the solutions. So here you are given with a problem where you will be able to generate two subsets and generate the tree structure and get the two solutions. Now, when you say it as branch and bound is having two additional items. That is, you need to find out the best value, and each this is for a backtracking, and as well as branch and bound. It is for NP hard problems where you will be having the combinatorial problems. So here, there you will be considering the decision problems in backtracking, but in branch and bound problem, always we go with the deal with the optimization problems. So compared to backtracking, branch and bound will be requiring two additional items. So for every node of a state space tree, a bound on the best value of the objective function on any solution can be obtained by adding further components to the partial solution represented by the node, which means that you are using some functions. Based on the functions, you will be getting the value. So here if you see a particular node, it can be either a promising node or most promising nodes. Non-promising nodes will be violating constraints mostly. There will be certain constraints. When you say it as the optimization problem, some constraints will be given that may be violated. So if it is violated, then we cannot say that it is a it's feasible. So we will be just saying it as non-promising. But if it is a promising node, we need to check the value and we will be taking the most promising node based on the best solution. So here we are going to see the assignment problem where we will be selecting each values based on the assignment. So here you are given with 4 persons and 4 jobs. We are seeing to that it should be assigned in such a way that no 2 persons should get the same job. So here we have to aim for a minimum value also. So we do it by taking it as the various options. So a person A can be assigned with all the 4 jobs. If a person A is assigned with a particular job, for example, here when you consider all the promising nodes, this is the most promising node. So that is generated further. So when you are generating it further, if you find out some value which is comparatively less in the previous stage, because here we go with the breadth first search. So level by level you complete it, and all these promising nodes has to be compared. You cannot compare only the values in this particular level. When you are in a particular level, you are comparing the ones which you are discarded. So those nodes were promising. So among these, all these nodes, you find out which is the promising, and you will be getting a solution for it. So here, when you come up with a particular problem, you just see how you will be achieving it based on the assignment problem. So here there is given you a problem where you have 4 jobs, 4 persons assigned in such a way that no 2 persons are getting the same job. For example, suppose if in this the least is 2. So if I assign job 2 for person A, job 2 cannot be assigned for any other persons, even though if there is a lesser value also, you are not supposed to assign it. See, for example, person B will be assigned with the job 3, which is the least value. In such a case, job 3 should not be, even though person D is given with the least value in the same job, you should not take it. Okay, like that we will be considering each one, and you will be finding out what is the best solution or the optimal solution for the assignment problem. So this will be done by doing the comparison of whatever nodes left out. If it is a promising node, then you should always compare it. Don't compare only the nodes in that particular level. You need to compare the nodes which exist in the previous level also. The next is the knapsack problem. As I have told you, this is an optimization problem. So here in the assignment problem, we aim for a minimized value, but here in knapsack problem, we are aiming for a maximum value. So here you are given with the items weight as well as value. What you need to do is, we always aim for a maximum profit. So you need to take the best payoff per unit. So when you say it as best payoff per unit, you are finding the value divided by weight, and you are rearranging it in the decreasing order, and you will be using a formula for finding the upper bound value. Since it's a maximized problem, you need to calculate the bounded value as the upper bound. So for each one, you apply this formula and get it. When you are getting it, you just see that when you get the calculate the upper bound value, each time you compare it with the ones. For example, see here node number 3 is not feasible. Why? Because the items which is chosen, for example, item 1 is already having a weight as 4. So if you insert 2, it is not possible, because the maximum knapsack capacity is only 10. So 4 plus 7 is 11. So it is not feasible. So here it is not feasible. So it is discarded. It is a non-promising node. But all these nodes, till you find the solution, it will be a promising node. We need to compare the values and find out which is the most promising node based on the maximum value. So whichever is the most promising value, that we will be taking it. So this is how you need to find out for the knapsack problem. So when you say it as the knapsack problem, we will be seeing that um, um, it aims for So you will be doing it for the optimal solution and you will be getting it. So whenever you get the optimal solution, you are just saying based on whatever you have it, you will be just finding out what is the best optimal solution and you will be getting the solution, respective solution for it. So this is how we do the knapsack problem. Knapsack problem is a maximization problem. So calculate the upper bound value. If the value is not fitting into based on the knapsack capacity, you just say that it is not feasible. So here we have a node which says that it is not feasible. All the remaining nodes are considered to be the promising nodes. Among these promising nodes, you go with the most promising value. So most promising node is one which is having the maximum value, and for that to get to know what are the items included, you go from the parent node to that particular, from the root node to till that particular leaf node, you find out what are the edges. Based on the edges, you will be seeing whether it is optimal or not. Okay, so this is how you need to consider for the optimal solution for a knapsack problem and find out what are the items included. So here I have given you a problem which consists of 4 items, maximum capacity as 16. First, find out value by weight, rearrange it in the order, decreasing order, then use this formula and find out what is the optimal solution. Whichever gives you the optimal solution, that we will be taking it. The next is traveling salesperson problem, same as Hamiltonian. There it is a decision problem, here it is a optimization problem. Optimization problem means you will be getting an optimal solution. So you need to visit all the vertices and find out whether it gives you a least cost. So starting with the vertex A, here there is a condition. You have different vertices. You are saying that the condition is the in traveling salesperson problem, we have the root node which is A, and we will be visiting all the other cities. So but when you say it as which city C, we have a condition that it has to be visited only after visiting B. So here this node is considered to be not feasible, so it is non-promising node. All the others are promising. Among this you find a lower value. So whichever gives you an optimal solution, that becomes your whichever gives you a least value, that becomes your optimal solution, and find out what is the tour path also. So here there is one more example given with, you need to work it out and find out by using the same strategy. So if you see all these problems, all these are optimization problems which you need to do it with the breadth first search, and this the backtracking is nothing but it is a decision problem which you will be going with the depth first search. So with this we will be this is the end of the syllabus. So I thank all the students who have patiently listening to the videos. Okay, so this is the end for the design and analysis of algorithms. So I would like to once again say that whatever we have seen so far, Okay, and that is, we have seen the introduction chapter. We have seen the how to calculate the efficiency of the algorithms by using the asymptotic efficiency notations, and we have seen the different techniques like brute force. We have seen some simple sorting searching algorithms. We have seen the divide and conquer, where you have again seen the merge sort, quick sort, etc. There is a flow. Then we have seen the decrease and conquer, where again we have seen in decrease and conquer the two graph traverses, the generation of the combinatorial objects, etc. We have seen also the space and time trade-offs, where in space and time trade-offs we have seen on the Hospel's string matching algorithm, the pre-enhancement, input enhancement, and the pre-structuring technique, where you have seen the hashing also. We have also seen the greedy and the dynamic programming techniques. So in greedy technique as well as the dynamic programming technique, we have seen some problems like a Floyd's Boyer-Shell for single source, all pair shortest path, and the knapsack problem in the dynamic programming. Um, we have also seen the spanning tree, where you will be seeing the two different spanning trees, Prim's and Kruskal algorithm. The single source shortest path, that is your Dijkstra's algorithm, everything. We have also seen the Huffman trees over there. So, and finally, we have seen what is the limitations for the algorithm power, and how to cope up with the limitations by using the two techniques, backtracking and banded and bounder. So this is the end for the design and analysis of algorithms. Thank you, students, for just listening for all the classes, all the sessions. Thank you.